Halo guys, kembali lagi di channel BadRush. Jadi hari ini masih menunggu event terbaru atau update terbaru dari Genshin. Jadi kali ini kita akan main story quest lagi ya, seperti yang gua infokan kemarin. Hari ini kita akan main story quest lagi di Genshin, yaitu story questnya si Line ya. Klaim dulu guys. Oke, jadi hari ini kita akan lanjutin lagi karena kita masih punya 3 story quest. Jadi kita mainin story questnya aja dulu, oke? Terus untuk hangout masih sama, masih 2. Terus world quest juga masih 2 ya. Makanya itu gua pilih yang masih paling banyak, yaitu story questnya karakter bintang 5 dulu ya, oke? So, langsung aja tanpa berlama-lama lagi, langsung aja kita mulai story questnya Lily, The Forgotten Thief. Oke, let's go. Kita kemana nih? Ke rumahnya ya, ke House of apa namanya, House of Heart. Gue lupa nama panti asuhannya, punyanya Arlecchino. Oke, kita ketemu Charlotte juga. Wow, Charlotte mah belum keluar hangout eventnya ya. Padahal udah muncul kan di banner kemarin. Mana gue belum dapet ya. Nggak apa-apa guys, bintang 4 mah gampang.
Absolutely, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Phantom Weasel never acts as you expect. He must have faked his own death 10 years ago using a body double. Now that he's back, I'm sure the guards who worked on his case back in the day are in for a headache, but however this turns out in the end, the one thing it won't be is boring.
Couldn't agree more. As a journalist, I'm gonna get a lot of mileage out of this one. Thank you, sir, for your time. Now, whom should I interview next? Huh? Hey! What a coincidence! Fancy meeting you here.
Okay.
Perfect timing. So, the Phantom Weasel's latest warning letter. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is the first time we're
Apa
hearing
itu
of this
Phantom
one.
Whistle?
Could you clue us in?
Huh?
Whistle tuh itu guys, apa ya namanya bahasa Indonesia ya? Ya itulah.
Well,
Bukan
not to
musang,
worry. You're
apa
in
ya?
good hands because I'm a professional. The story goes like this. 10 or so years ago, a phantom thief became active in the court of Fontaine. Known only as the Weasel.
The Weasel,
Nobody
oke,
knew
itu
his true
pencuri ya?
identity, and the authorities never managed to catch him.
Oke, nggak pernah ketangkap.
Wow, cool! He sounds like one of those mysterious night
Jadi kayak
burglars that you
Conan
read about
gini.
in novels.
Precisely. Well, except the part where they
Tapi
actually
kayaknya
have a
itu
good
Line
reputation.
sih.
Our Weasel targeted whatever people held dear, and no one was safe from his predations. He would just as soon steal a necklace from a rich merchant's safe as he would a toy doll given to a commoner child for their birthday.
Oh, kayak Robin Hood ya
I
kan?
know. The phantom thieves
Dia
who read
ngambilin
about in
dari
novels
orang-orang
rob the
kaya,
rich
tapi
to
terus
pay the
dikasih
poor.
ke orang-orang
But
yang
this guy did
miskin
not
gitu.
discriminate. Unsurprisingly, this didn't work wonders for his public reputation.
Ya kayak
Every
Robin
man
Hood
and his
lah.
dog wanted to see him behind bars.
Yeesh. So, did they catch him?
Not exactly. There's a good chance that the Weasel would still be at large to this day if it hadn't been for an accident 10 years ago. A magician named Caesar fell to his death in a botched high-altitude escape performance. When the police went through his personal effects, they found a hoard of stolen loot and gadgets used for criminal activities. And that was how the Phantom Weasel's identity was revealed to all. Sure enough,
terus dikira
Vance and
itu ya,
Fontaine
Phantom
went down
Weasel.
after Caesar's death.
Dikira Caesar
Today,
ini
10
guys.
years on,
Tapi
the
hari
notorious
ini
thief has once
ada
again issued one of
surat
his warning
lagi.
letters and pasted it on the gate
Padahal
of the
orangnya
Opera
udah mati
Epiclese
gitu.
for all to see. I had to
Nah,
squeeze
terus
through
ini
the crowd this
siapa
morning to get a photo
penggantinya
as soon as
Caesar
I
ini?
heard.
Atau mungkin Caesar
Here,
juga
it's this one.
cuma apa namanya guys? Cuma pengalihan
So,
isu yang
this
asli
is the
emang belum
warning
mati
letter, huh?
mungkin.
Let's see what he wrote.
Atau emang
3
ini
days
benar-benar
from now,
pengganti
when
si Caesar
evening
tadi.
falls, I shall take from you that which you hold most dear at the opera house, just as you did to me 10 years ago.
This is, without a doubt, a clear declaration of criminal intent. After years of laying low,
Kayak
the
kalau di
Phantom
Conan
Weasel
ini
is
guys,
back
Kit.
with a vengeance.
Ya kan kalau nggak salah.
What once seems like an open and shut case has been
Kit si
blown wide open
pencuri itu,
again.
pencuri yang
But why
pakai
has he
baju
reemerged
semuanya
now?
putih
And
tuh.
what does he want?
Musuhnya
I
Conan.
sense an epic scoop, and I'm going for it.
Jadi ngasih surat peringatan
This
dulu.
thief will steal anything that other people
Kayak
value.
siapa lagi ya? Banyak
Does
cerita
that
kayak
mean
gini.
even we might be targeted? Paimon doesn't want to get kidnapped. Well, he'd have to go through you first. You would stop him, right?
Okay, the people have spoken. It's clear that the public are very concerned
itu
about the
ini.
Phantom Weasel's reappearance. Let's see, I've got a photo of the letter, my interview notes. Yep, that should be enough to form the skeleton of my article. It does feel like something is missing, though. Something exclusive. Who should I interview next? I need someone with a more concrete connection to the Weasel. Is that who I think it is?
Pesulap.
Lenny!
Magic, magician, Caesar,
Hmm,
the Phantom
soalnya
Weasel.
dulu
That's it. Let's go interview
Phantom
Lenny.
Whistle itu si Caesar itu juga si pesulap, guys. Jadi siapa tahu penerusnya juga Line atau si Caesar itu menyembunyikan kematiannya, sebenarnya nggak mati di situ. I don't know, kita lihat nanti ya.
Are you serious? What sort of a deduction is that?
Oh, relax. My journalistic instinct tells me that an exclusive news story is beckoning. Let's go. No time for delay.
Oke, kita tanya-tanyain Line ya. Kita mulai The Forgotten Thief atau sebenarnya Caesar Line. Nah, nggak tahu sih, guys. Kita cari tahu di story questnya Line ya.
Mr. Magician, how did you know which card I picked?
Oh, it's simple. Come closer and I'll let you in on my secret. Magicians have a special skill called telepathy, which means we can read other people's minds.
Really? Then, what am I thinking now?
Well, first you need to relax, because I can see that you're clenching your fist in your mind, as if to say, no, I mustn't let him guess it.
Aww.
And now you're getting a little flustered. You're trying to find a way to empty your mind, to think of nothing at all. But the more you try to hide a secret, the easier it'll come out. You snuck out from home today, didn't you? You told your family a little lie so you could come out and play. Now, that's not a good habit.
You can tell? Oh boy. You really can read my mind.
Of course. And that's the end of my performance. You should really be heading home. Remember to apologize to your family, all right? They must be worried about you.
All right. Got it. Bye, Mr. Magician.
Hey, Lenny?
Why, hello. We meet again. Are you looking for me? What's the situation?
Well, why don't you guess, Mr. Telepathic?
Oh, please. You didn't believe that spiel, did you? The power of telepathy is quite beyond me.
I'm sure that child would beg to differ. Seemed like you were right on the money.
That was nothing more than a little trickery. I made an educated guess based on his micro-expressions. That, plus the fact that he was the only kid here without his parents, and he looked as guilty as sin. He made it easy for me. You guys, on the other hand... Let me guess.
Phantom Weasel.
Don't tell me you're here for the Phantom Weasel, are you?
Wow, got it in one. Is this more of your trickery at work?
Wait, really? No trickery this time. It was pure luck. His warning letter's been the talk of the town, so I figured that maybe you were asking around about that.
Bingo! I plan on writing a column reporting on the latest news about the Phantom Weasel. So, Lenny, what are your thoughts on this infamous thief's reappearance?
To be honest, it makes me angry.
Angry? Why?
You read his letter, right? The Phantom Weasel claims he's planning something in 3 nights' time at the Opera House. That's the night I'll be performing there.
Dia mau perform di situ.
What are the chances? Wait a minute, you don't think he's after you, do you?
Well, if he is, then his warning is clearly a direct
dia
challenge
ngejar
to me
Line?
personally. And if he's
Apakah
not,
dia itu Line?
then it's still going to be a huge
Kita akan cari
headache
tahu,
for me.
guys.
The mere mention of the Weasel's name is enough to scare people off. So once the contents of that letter get out, barely anyone will be showing up to watch my show. But I've been preparing for this for a long time. I'm not about to let him ruin my big day. This leaves me with only one choice. I have to expose the Phantom Weasel's identity before the show begins.
Really? So what you're saying is, we might get to see a live duel between a famous magician and an infamous thief? Wow, this has exclusive written all over it.
To be honest, I'm not sure if I'll emerge the victor. The Phantom Weasel is a notorious crook, infamous for his inscrutable methods.
You're being far too modest, Linny. I think your magic tricks are even more inscrutable than those of a thief.
Thanks for the compliment, though I have to say, I don't care much for the comparison. A lot of people liken magicians to thieves because we both have the ability to make things disappear without the person noticing. But there's an important difference that these people overlook. Allow me to demonstrate with a quick magic trick. Here, I have a flower, just an ordinary flower that was picked not long ago. Watch it carefully now. 3, 2, 1.
Hilang.
It's gone!
That's the question. Where did it go? Therein lies the difference between us. Thieves make precious things disappear, but only magicians make them reappear. If I could now
Pencuri
invite you all
membuat
to
itu
check your
hilang,
clothes,
tapi magician
there
bisa
might be a
balikin itu lagi.
surprise in there somewhere.
A surprise? Let me see!
Bisa di situ.
It's right there! But how? You haven't moved this whole time!
What an outstanding trick! Sorry, Linny, it seems that my previous praise was woefully inadequate. Clearly, magic is the superior art form to theft.
Don't worry, I didn't take offense. I just wanted to take the opportunity to perhaps change some of the preconceived notions you might have about magicians. Since Caesar's death, a lot of people associate magicians with criminality. It can be quite frustrating.
I can imagine. Coming back to your trick just now, might I presume that you are well versed in floral symbolism? For example, magicians often use rainbow roses in their flower-related performances to represent passion and romantic encounters. But you used a Lumidu spell, which, if I'm not mistaken, allude to separations. I'm curious to know if there was any deeper meaning behind this choice?
Impressive
Kenapa milih
knowledge.
bunga itu?
It's no wonder you're such a successful journalist. But I'm afraid I don't know the first thing about floral symbolism. I'm just in the habit of using Lumidu spells in my magic.
Cuma
It
kebiasaannya
sounds
pakai
like
bunga
something
itu
I should
aja.
look into, though. I'll buy myself a copy of Fontaine's Floral Language Facts when I have some time. But it'll have to wait until this Phantom Weasel business is behind us.
Well noted. In that case, this brings us to the end of our interview. I, for one, am looking forward to the final showdown between you and the thief. Please feel free to get in touch to update me on any further developments. Otherwise, I will of course see you at your show in 3 days' time. But let's hope the Phantom Weasel is caught by then. If there's nothing else, I'll be off. You've given me lots to work with here, and I've got no time to lose if I want to write that exclusive piece. I'll see you all later.
So, Linny, are you gonna tell us how you did that flower trick now?
I'm afraid that's my little secret.
Aww. Well, magicians are entitled to their secrets. But Paimon's really itching to know how it's done. You feel it too, right? So itchy.
Not so itchy then, huh? Well, since you're so concerned, how would you like to serve as my temporary magician's
jadi asistennya
assistant
lagi.
and help me investigate?
Magician's assistants? Oh, that sounds fun! Assistants are technically magicians too! Also, it'll bring us one step closer to figuring out how that darn trick is done! Shall
Penasaran,
we go for it?
Paimon.
Excellent. Thank you for putting your trust in moi. The
Moi.
first thing we need to look into is
In
who
moi.
Caesar really was. If he truly was the Phantom Weasel, that means that the Weasel is dead, and whoever wrote this warning letter is just a copycat criminal. But if he wasn't the Weasel? Well, that'll make things more interesting. It would mean that the Weasel lives, and he's been laying low all this time in some corner of Fontaine. And if we're investigating Caesar, his fiancée Gemma is a good place to start.
Oke,
Word
udah
is that she
punya
visits the
ini ya,
cemetery
tunangan.
often, so I asked Lynette to wait for her there. We should make a move. Let's go and rendezvous with Lynette.
Dan Lynette udah ke sana ke tempatnya si Gemma buat ini ya. Buat apa namanya? Investigasi. Sini aja deh. Oke, jadi Phantom Thief yang dulu 10 tahun yang lalu itu diketahui, ya sebenarnya nggak tahu ya bener itu bukan, tapi diketahui itu adalah si Caesar, yaitu magician juga. Nah sekarang balik lagi guys, ada yang ngaku-ngaku jadi Phantom Whistle lagi gitu. Nah tapi terus apakah Phantom Whistle itu masih Caesar atau orang lain? Nah itu yang kita tidak tahu. Nah makanya ini kita akan investigasi Phantom Whistle yang sekarang itu siapa. Nah makanya kita cuma punya petunjuk ya yang dulu itu kita tahunya si Caesar itu. Caesar itu punya punya tunangan namanya Cima. Nah sekarang kita akan menuju ke tempatnya Cima ya, untuk tanya-tanya soal mantan tunangannya, karena tunangan guys, tapi kan terus diberitakan mati si Caesar itu. Apa ini, rumah kah? Oh, ke makam bapaknya Lavia di sini juga.
You took your time.
Sorry, I bumped into the Traveler and Charlotte en route, and we ended up chatting for a while.
It's been a while, Annette. We're working as Lenny's temporary assistants in the investigation of the Phantom Weasel.
Thank you. It's good to have you helping.
So, what's the situation? Have you seen Gemma?
Nope. I've been here a while, and she still hasn't shown up.
Oke, nggak
How
muncul-muncul.
bizarre. Maybe it was bad intel. Well, we won't get anywhere by standing around waiting. Traveler, Paimon, let's go ask around.
Tanya-tanya pesiar. Baltasar.
Excuse me, good sir. Do you by any chance know a Gemma?
Gemma? You mean Caesar's fiance? Sure I do. What's this about?
I'm just trying to get a hold of her because I need her help with something. I heard she comes here a lot.
Yeah, she does. Poor thing. It's no secret why either. She's heartsick. Ever since Caesar passed away, she's been
Anjir,
coming
udah
here
10
once
tahun.
every week to clean his grave.
Nggak ini,
Often she just sits there in front of his
nggak move on,
headstone,
Cuk.
lost in thought. Sometimes she talks to herself. I asked her what she was doing once. She said she wanted to speak to him again. She knows he's gone and can't hear her from the grave, but she just likes to spend time there, telling her fiancé all about how her life is going.
And she's been doing this ever since Caesar passed away?
10 tahun loh. Setiap minggu, seminggu sekali mesti
10
bersihin
years.
apa namanya guys?
Wow.
Bersihin kuburannya.
Your love must have been really strong.
I'll bet. Caesar's reputation fell apart after his identity was revealed, so no one else visits his grave.
Gara-gara tahu dia
Gemma's
pencuri.
the only one who still thinks about him after all these years.
Padahal
I
nggak,
don't know if the
padahal nggak
mind
ini
lives
ya,
on in
padahal
the
nggak,
waters
apa
after
namanya, padahal
death,
nggak
but if it does,
ini lagi guys.
I'm sure
Padahal
Caesar
nggak
must be
ziarah
grateful
gitu.
to have someone who remembers him fondly. If I'm honest, I think this is all so unfair to poor Gemma. Her fiancé was a low-life crook. He doesn't deserve someone like her. Anyway, all of that said, she's running later than usual today. Normally, she'd be sitting in front of his grave by now. I wonder if she's okay. Well, that's everything I know, I'm afraid. You might have more luck asking some other people.
All right, well, thanks for sharing all of this with us. We'll keep asking around.
You're welcome. I just hope she'll be able to move on one day.
Ya anjir 10 tahun nggak move on Cuk. Bersihin nggak apa-apa lah, cuman kalau apa namanya
Did
terus
you hear
nggak
the news?
cari orang
They're
lain
saying
juga
the Phantom Weasel's back.
kasihan
You're
guys.
kidding. Wait, isn't he dead?
I don't know anymore. All sorts of news flying around nowadays. I can never tell what's true and what isn't. But what if, just hypothetically, I mean, what if this weasel's the real deal and Caesar was framed?
Called it.
Makanya
Seriously,
bisa aja
10
ternyata
years
bukan
ago,
salahnya
on the day
Caesar
it all
loh.
went down,
Kan
I
kita
said
nggak
to
tahu
myself,
guys. Cuman
you know what?
apa
This
namanya
guy's
barang
been set
buktinya
up.
ada di tempatnya
The
Caesar
Caesar I
gitu
knew
loh.
was a good guy. He gave balloons to children on the street, for Pete's sake. What, are we supposed to believe that he was a balloon thief or something?
Balloon thief.
Give me a break.
Oh, please. Weren't you the one cursing his name to high heaven when the police announced the news? You were all, that gosh darn lousy son of a, you think you know a guy, or words to that effect.
Wait, did I say that? I don't seem to recall.
Sorry.
Hello there. Sorry for disturbing you, but I couldn't help but notice you were discussing the Phantom Weasel. We're actually quite interested in this topic as well, but we're struggling to get to the bottom of it. Do you think you could spare a moment to tell us a little bit about Caesar?
You've come to the right people. Yep, I was there. Back when Caesar used to perform magic tricks on the street. He was a great magician. The best trick I ever saw him do was pop a transparent balloon, only for a whole bunch of doves to fly out from the inside. I was right up close and didn't blink or look away once. But for the life of me, I still don't have the faintest clue how he pulled it off. Really incredible stuff.
I saw him perform too. He always used to bring some gifts along for the kids who came to watch his show, and he'd hand them out after he was done. Sometimes, he even got the kids to write their wishes down, and then he'd make the items on the wish list appear in his next show.
Huh. He doesn't sound like such a bad guy.
But after he died, there were also rumors that he used the wish list to find out what was precious to people, with the intent to steal it later. As I'm sure you know, the Phantom Weasel would steal just about anything from anyone.
Whatever the case, now that the Weasel is back, Caesar's become a hot topic once more. I bet Gemma must be pleased. If Caesar's name gets cleared, maybe it'll finally give her some solace after all this time. No, speak of the devil. That's her over there.
Oh, itu
If you've
dia
got
orangnya.
any more questions about Caesar, she's definitely the one to ask.
So that's Gemma.
Jem akhirnya datang.
Is it just Paimon, or does it look like something's wrong? Wait, it looks like she's injured. Come on, let's see if she's okay.
Oke. Dia datang dengan cedera ya.
Hi there. You're Gemma, right?
Who's asking?
Don't be afraid, we mean no harm. It looks like you're injured. How bad is it?
Thanks for your concern, but you didn't answer my question. Who are you, and what do you want with me?
My name is Linny, and this is my sister Lynette.
My name's Paimon, and this here's the Traveler. We're investigating the Phantom Weasel.
The Weasel posted a warning letter this morning. If he still lives, that means that Caesar was falsely accused. You knew Caesar better than anyone else. So if you're willing, we'd love to hear what you think about all this. I promise you can trust us. We won't hurt you. In fact, we'll do all we can to keep you safe.
I never believed that he was the Weasel.
Gue tak pernah
I
kalau dia
suspected
adalah
as much.
wieselnya guys, atau pencurinya.
Okay, so going back 10 years, do you remember anything strange in the weeks leading up to the accident? Did Caesar have a falling out with anyone, for instance?
No, not that I know of.
Got it. All right, sorry for disturbing you.
If you
Hujan
don't have
aja.
any more questions, please leave. I want to be alone with him.
Langsung hujan apa emang tiba-tiba random hujan?
Judging by the look on her face, there's definitely something fishy about her.
She's lying. She
Oh.
definitely knows something.
Ya, dia
That's
cuma
fair.
belum percaya sama kita.
We're just a bunch of
Ya wajar
strangers
kita
who
orang
showed up
asing
and
kan.
started questioning her about things that happened a whole decade ago. It makes sense that she'd be wary around us. In any case, I doubt we'll get any further here, so let's call it a day. Meet me outside Hotel de Boer tomorrow, and then we'll start the next step of our plan.
Oke. Kita tunggu sampai besok ya. Sampai 8. Oke. Oh, ini dia.
Over here.
Lynette's not joining us today?
I've had her follow Gemma and see if we can make any inroads with her. They should be at a cafe right now. Still, I don't think that Gemma's likely to open up to us. So, we need a contingency plan. Today, we'll be looking into a guy named Lorenzo, Caesar's former pupil and assistant. When Caesar passed away, all the stolen goods discovered in his home were confiscated and returned to their rightful owners. But Lorenzo was the only one privy to all his magic secrets, and he inherited his craft. Before long, Lorenzo was the next big magician in town. His fame surpassing even that of his master, and it made him very wealthy. He's since left the magic scene, though, and these days, he's a wealthy businessman with his fingers in a lot of different pies. I had to pull a lot of strings, but I managed to get him to agree to a couple of drinks with me. Be warned, though, I hear he's got a hair-triggered temper. We'd best be careful.
Oke, kita ambil si Lorenzo. Si Lorenzo sekarang jadi kaya katanya, guys. Apakah jangan-jangan Lorenzo karena dia asisten kan, siapa tahu bisa trik-trik sedikit-sedikit ya kan, terus jangan-jangan dia nyuri tapi barang-barangnya ditaruh ke tempatnya Caesar. Nah, biar orang-orang ngira itu tuh Caesar yang berbuat, bukan Lorenzo. Bisa itu plot twist pertama ya. Plot twist kedua ya orang lain itu. Tapi apakah sudah dipastikan bagi Phantom Thief bukan Linnea?
My apologies. These two are my assistants. When they heard that I was meeting with the former magic maestro himself, they begged and pleaded with me to bring them along. And if it's no trouble, a couple of autographs would really make their day.
Oh, forget the pleasantries, just sit.
Okay.
Get a load of this guy. Forget the pleasantries, he says, but he looks pretty happy about Lenny stroking his ego.
I only agreed to meet since we're both magicians. Do me a favor and cut to the chase. I have more important things to do than drinking.
Much obliged, sir. As it happens, the matter I want to
dia
address
juga
is
magician
also
ya.
related to magic.
Cuman
Yesterday
jadi
morning,
asistennya
a
si
warning
Caesar
letter from
itu.
the Phantom Weasel appeared on the entrance to the Opera House. He claims to be planning something for the same evening that I'm scheduled to do a magic show there. As such, I believe that I may well be his target. I have to get to the bottom of this to ensure that my show can go ahead as planned. Naturally, any investigation into the Weasel starts with a few questions about Caesar, who...
What is there to investigate? Caesar was the Weasel and he's been dead for 10 years. So what if some sick creep thought it'd be funny to write a warning letter? It changes nothing. Are you trying to tell me you actually bought it?
Please, sir, no need to get so worked up. I do concede that a copycat is but one possibility.
Possibility? It's a fact, Lenny. Look, my patience is limited, so listen carefully while I'm still willing to put up with you. The Weasel is dead. Period. Everyone knows that, so do yourself a favor and quit this investigation. It'll lead you nowhere. Look, if this affects your magic show in any way, I will personally compensate you for any losses.
Oh,
Jadi semakin mencurigakan, tapi kadang plot twistnya bukan dia, guys.
My pride as a magician is what's at stake here, Lorenzo. Copycat or not, this person has thrown me the gauntlet, and I must meet their challenge head on.
Your pride? Don't mince words with me, boy. Just tell me, what exactly are you seeking to do?
I want to find out the Phantom Weasel's true identity. I have to know for myself what really happened 10 years ago.
What would that accomplish? And what do the events of 10 years ago have to do with you, anyway? Look, you of all people should know that a magician never reveals their secrets. And in any case, dead men don't talk. So if you really care about your magician's pride, then you'll forget about Caesar and move on.
Uh-oh. This is getting awkward.
Lorenzo? Is that? Oh, it is you! I know that big, booming voice anywhere. What's up, my man? Want to grab a drink with me?
Another day, I'm busy.
Oh, come on. You can't be all business all the time. You know what they say? Live fast, die young. You gotta learn how to kick back and relax once in a while.
If I wanted your life advice, I'd ask for it. Now get out of my face and go be drunk somewhere else.
Sorry, my good sir. I don't believe I've had the pleasure.
Oh, hey! Edmondo. He and I are business pals. We worked together a bunch of times. This is your first time meeting him? Oh, he's always like this.
Selalu marah-marah, Anjay.
Hard-nosed. Never heard a kind word out of this guy the whole time I've known him. And he wonders why he can't get a girlfriend.
Jangan-jangan dia suka sama tunangannya Caesar. Kok ngomongin girlfriend soalnya, guys?
Older than when he first got rejected by the girl he was into. And he's still into, from what I hear.
Tuh.
Shut up and get out of my
Pernah
face.
ditolak juga, jangan-jangan iya, guys.
With me ever again. Do I make myself clear?
Jadi dia nyalahin ke Caesar biar si Gemma nggak suka sama Caesar terus ke Lorenzo.
I'm gonna leave. Don't work too hard.
Iya, jangan-jangan, guys. Tapi nggak tahu ya. Itu hipotesis pertama.
If you really want to investigate this, Linny, be my guest.
Okay.
But if nothing good comes of it, don't say I didn't warn you.
Kata temen yang mabuk tadi dia pernah ditolak
in a rather spectacular fashion. Any thoughts?
Totally. And what was all that about compensating you for your losses? Why would someone you just met make an offer like that? He's gotta be hiding something. And not like Gemma. She was a little suspicious, but this guy's definitely covering something up.
I think so too. We need to look into Lorenzo more closely. That guy
Ya, kayaknya itu hipotesis pertama ya, guys ya. Lorenzo suka sama Gemma, tapi Gemma sukanya sama Caesar, terus pacaran dan tunangan, terus sakit hati paling si Lorenzo. Nah, terus dia apa namanya? Apa tadi? Terus dia menyalahkan si Phantom Thief itu, Phantom Whistle itu ke Caesar. Nah, terus Caesarnya meninggal. Nah, mungkin dengan itu ntar bisa jadian sama Gemma. Ternyata tetap enggak. Gemmanya tetap nggak move on ternyata. Oke, kita cari Edmundo yang tadi. Edmundo. Kita tanya-tanya si orang mabuk ini.
You okay there?
Who are you? Oh, it's you guys. Don't worry about me. I must have had one too many. I just need to ride it out. I said way too much back there, didn't I? Yeah, I nearly talked myself into complete financial ruin. Note to self, no more drunken chats when Lorenzo's around.
So, he was serious about threatening to cut you off? Ugh, Paimon knew he was a bad egg.
Hey! Keep your voice down. Don't go prying into Lorenzo's personal affairs. Bad things happen to people who ask too many questions or make an enemy out of him.
What kind of bad things?
Don't even ask. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to cut this conversation short. I'm not crossing that line again. And take it from me, trouble with Lorenzo is one thing you don't need in your life. You saw him flare up back there. I don't know what you said to him, but clearly it touched a nerve. That's not a good sign. You're too young for this. Don't get in over your head. I'm leaving.
Oke. Gara-gara udah sadar jadi kurang bacotnya Anda.
There he goes. What do we do now, Lenny?
Shh. I think we're being watched.
Oh,
Someone was listening in
ada
to our whole
mata-mata anjir.
conversation. Don't say anything and don't look back. Any altercation in the city will attract the guards. We better take this elsewhere.
Kita kirim mata-mata ini ke mana? Jauh banget ke Market Station. Sampai ke Opera House loh.
You followed us a long way. Why don't you come out and introduce yourselves?
Wah, anjay.
So you're Lynn.
Mafia gini.
And where's your sister? Ain't she with you today? Save us the trouble and go fetch her for us. Let's not drag this out.
Paimon doesn't like the tone of your voice, mister. Who sent you, huh?
Save your questions, missy. You ain't gonna need answers where you're going. Capiche?
Looks like we can't avoid this fight. Now, I'm not the strongest fighter, so I hope you're ready to back me up.
Don't worry, we got this.
Ya ampun.
Starfall! Motion to compel! Flash!
I'm out of here.
And
Mati.
Curses. They're tougher than we thought.
Vision wielders are always trouble. Intimidation ain't gonna work like it did on the lady.
Come on, let's scram!
Hey, wise guys, we ain't through with you yet. Oh, they got away.
Tutupan batu
Did you
gini
catch
anjir.
what they said just before they left? Something about intimidating someone else. Sounds like they just wanted to rough us up as a scare tactic. And they've already done it to someone else, but who?
Bisa
They're
jadi
right.
Gemma.
She was injured when we saw her yesterday, and she acted like she had something to hide.
Masa
Maybe she
diajar
was too scared
preman-preman
to tell us
tadi?
the truth because those guys had threatened her.
well, if that's the case,
Iya,
she should be more
jangan
willing
yang
to open up
bayar
to us when
sih.
she learns that those
Tadi,
thugs
guys.
won't be bothering her anymore.
Si Lorenzo
Let's
kan
head
dia
back to the
payah.
cafe and see if we can get any information from her.
Oke, kita sekarang ke cafe tempatnya Linet mengawasi si Gemma ya. Balik lagi. Langsung duduk. Diam-diaman aja.
You again. What is it this time?
We just ran into the men who've been threatening you, and we gave them a taste of their own medicine. So, you can relax now. We're here to protect you.
What? Why? I didn't tell you anything. Why would they come after you?
Sounds like they're no strangers to you.
That's putting it mildly. I know them all too
Dia
well,
tahu anjir.
and I hate them with every fiber of my being. It's been 10 long years, and still every time I try to look into Caesar's death, they show
dia
up
juga
and
pengen
warn me
cari
not to
tahu
do
kenapa-
anything stupid.
Apa
How do I
sesar
know I can
mati?
trust you?
Ya.
Do you really think you can get to the bottom of it all? And why are you doing this?
I'm afraid I can't reveal all the details just yet, but I can promise you this. I will expose the Phantom Weasel's true identity. Because you see, this is a personal matter of the utmost importance. I give you my word. Trust me.
Okay. How can I help you?
I've heard that Caesar used to have a magic workshop where he kept a lot of his personal effects. If possible, I'd like to take a look at them. Do you know where it is?
The Fleuve Sonde.
Fluvesong.
The place was sealed
Gimana
up by the
dibacanya?
police after
Fluvesong.
his death, and no one's been there since. I also know that the Fleuve
Udah
Sonde is
ditutup
dangerous
polisi pula
territory.
tempatnya.
Lots of hostile groups lurking around.
Jadi kita masuk ini mungkin.
If you're serious about going there, please be careful.
Masuk domain
Understood.
paling guys.
Lynette, you stay here and take care of Gemma. Don't let her come to harm.
Got it. But if I'm staying here, I'm ordering dessert.
I mean, bon appetit. But
Bon
stay
appetit.
sharp, too. They're likely to come for you while I'm away.
Okay.
Suruh jagain.
Alright. Power saving mode off. I'll start taking this more seriously now.
Oke, kita ke tempatnya ini ya, tempatnya workshopnya si siapa tadi? Si Cesar yang udah disegel sama polisi. Kita coba ke sana, guys. Lewat mana ya? Lewat mana, Cuk? Wih, lewat mana guys, anjir. Lewat lift kayaknya. Oke. Anjir, malah jadi bingung sendiri tuh. Lah, hilang petunjuknya. Piye sih? Oh, masuk sini toh, anjir. Nah, pantes. Anjir, ini mah kayak lapak
If
doang.
Gemma gave
anjir.
us the right location, then the workshop should be right nearby. Huh. Looks like these boxes are blocking the entrance. Let's shift them away first.
Ada jalan ke bawah lagi pasti.
There we go. It should be just down here.
Iya kan? Oke, masuk domain kita. Ya, butuh api ya. Tenang, kita udah bawa. Ntar kan pasti demo hero nya si Line kan, jadi let's go. Apakah peti-peti manja nggak ada ya? Nah,
So this was Caesar's workshop. Nothing suspicious here, just normal magic props. Let's head in further. What was that? Oh, is this one of Caesar's gadgets? Guess we must have triggered some sort of device.
oke, itu caranya. Kalau lihat peti guys.
Rumble apart! Drop! Strike! No turning back! Incinerate!
Can't catch me.
Flash! Breath of the flame! Boom boom!
Let's get this show on the road.
Bisa terbang anjir, ngebak tuh.
Motion to compel! Ha!
Now disappear.
Oke.
Look, the doll in the box is glowing.
Kenapa ini?
There's something written on the card on this doll. Let's take a closer look.
Oke. Wih, oh gerakannya gitu Apa ini? I'd like a little dove. One robot with cool power. Oh, gitu ya. Oh, kayak orang-orang nulis permintaan gitu di sini ya. Oke. surat-surat gitu kan. Terus coba diwujudin sama Caesar ya, apa gimana, nggak tahu tuh.
These magic boxes are moving. What do we do?
One of them looks different from the rest. Let's investigate.
Oke, mungkin suruh ngenain yang nyala aja. Yang puzzle-puzzle manja gini. Apaan nih? Oke. Kita suruh nyari yang nyala dong deh. Kayaknya ya. Apa tebakan kita tadi bener ya? Ya ampun, tebakan tadi kita bener. Ya Allah, gua ngaco loh yang pertama. Kalau yang kedua emang gua cari yang ini, cari yang nyala. Yang pertama tadi ngawur aja, bener ternyata. Oke, kita lanjut.
That's weird. Have we reached the end already? There's nothing here. Maybe this was a wasted trip.
This place seems a little too ordinary for a magician's workshop. There's a distinct lack of mystery. We've triggered quite a few devices on the way here. I'm starting to wonder whether Caesar built this whole place as one big, elaborate magic contraption. If so, then there must be more to this place than meets the eye. Maybe a hidden room somewhere. Aha! If I just move this book, then hopefully... And... presto!
Oh, oke, ada jalan rahasianya ya. Soalnya terlihat seperti biasa ya.
I'm a magician too.
Wih, itu ada
apparently great minds really do think alike.
Peti.
Looks pretty big inside. Let's head in and take a look around.
Tadi petinya di mana? Di sini nggak ada peti. Oke, mungkin yang ini ya maksudnya. Ya udah lah. Kalau kelewatan ya udah lah guys. Ya sudah kalau kelewatan, oke.
And whoop!
Starfall!
Quiver!
Ninjutsu! And away I go! Make my escape. Ha!
Storm the front! Inadmissible evidence!
Oke. Lanjut.
Boom boom! Starfall! Flash!
I'm out of here!
Now disappear! A round of applause! Yeah.
Oke. Wah, apa ini?
Why have you stopped, Lenny? Is there some device in that box?
It just looks familiar somehow. Let me check this out for a second while you guys go on ahead. If anyone makes a major discovery, let's rendezvous here.
Alright, see you in a bit!
Oke, kita cari-cari dulu. Puzzle apa lagi ini? Oke. Oke. Oh, salah, guys. Oh, I see. Kita ulang.
Oh, seems like we can't step on the same tile twice.
I know.
Guess we've got to finish it in one run, huh?
I know. Hey. Gimana sih? Orang kita udah ini loh, pencet tengahnya loh. Kacau. Oke, sabar guys. Ini mah sistemnya terlalu lambat. Gini, terus kita ke tengah. Nah, terus ke sana dulu. Nah, baru. Oke, kita buka pintu. Nah, ini ruang pribadinya mungkin ya. Bisa duduk aja.
Let's take a peek inside it, shall we?
Oke, ini buku hariannya ya. Soal
One of my
wishlist.
shows a few days ago, a child asked me how I pulled candy out of my hat. As a joke, I told the kid that the hat has a built-in wish-granting machine. Next thing I know, today a whole bunch of kids were pestering me to pull all sorts of things out of the hat. So I told them another white lie. The machine needs time to power up, but in the meantime, you can write your wishes down.
Dia pakai trik
Well,
di
they
topinya
took me
itu.
up on that offer, enthusiastically. As I write this, I've only just got back from running around all over town, buying the things they wanted. Boy, are my legs sore.
Terus dia beli semua wishlist anak-anak tadi.
But that's not a major issue. I now have a bigger problem. How am I going to hide all these things inside my
Gimana cara
hat?
nyembunyiin semua ini? Oke, itu soal wishlist. Terus soal
Two
anak-anak
children
yang
came to talk to me after today's
mencoba,
show.
tapi berarti
I
orang
don't know
baik
why
mungkin
they
ya
were out on
sesar
their
ini.
own. They looked much too young
Dan
to be
kalau jadi Robin Hood
unsupervised.
sebenarnya mungkin
I do
bisa
hope
guys,
they got
tapi
home safely.
dia bilang dia beli sih.
Anyway, they said that they wanted me to teach them how to do magic. It's not uncommon for children to ask this, of course, but I've never seen any of them as serious about it as these two. I told them that learning magic is very hard work, but that didn't faze them at all. It's like they already knew.
Oke, Lorenzo ya.
It seems like something's bothering Lorenzo lately.
Oke, tapi Lorenzo nggak mau ngasih
Open up
tahu.
to me about it.
Oke.
Surely he's not upset that I agreed to teach those two children. I'll have to talk him around.
Oke, harusnya
I have a
bukan
good
soal
feeling
dia
about those
ngajarin
kids.
bocah-bocah ya.
They're naturally talented, and it seems like they're not new to the world of magic.
Soal si
They have all
Lorenzo
sorts of
kelihatan
fantastic
gelisah gitu.
ideas. All I'm really doing is helping them develop a more professional standard training plan. They wanted to call me master, but I told them they absolutely mustn't. Any magician worth their salt could have taught them what I have. They're the geniuses here. Compared to them, I don't deserve to be called any sort of master. With time, I have no doubt that they could become far greater magicians than I. My only concern is why they're so mature for their age. I fear they've had to grow up too fast. I don't dare to imagine what they must have been through. Gemma thinks so too. She doesn't like being around them. Says that their eyes are too piercing. They don't bother me, but then again, I've never been the sharpest tool in the shed.
Oke.
It's
Soal
nearly time for me to
perpisahan.
go on tour. I asked the two kids if they'd like to come with me, but they shook their heads.
Jangan-jangan dua
I
anak
once
ini
overheard them
Line sama
talking
Linet,
about their
jangan-jangan.
father and their
Tuh
mission.
kan.
Sounds like their parents have other plans for them.
I guess we'll be parting ways
Oh,
soon.
sebenarnya mau diajak
It's only
sama
been 10
Caesar.
days since I first met
Oh,
them.
ternyata
But I
gurunya.
think that I've gotten a feel for their personalities now.
Gurunya
They're
Line
very
sama
tough,
Linet.
but also
What
very
the
cautious.
hell?
And they trust no one but each other. This, I
Oh,
fear,
pantas
is
Line
not a good habit to have. They hide
pengen
things from me
mengetahui
too.
siapa Phantom Whistle
For example,
yang asli, guys.
when I
Karena dia
asked
juga
them where
yakin
they
kalau
live
bukan
and why they
gurunya atau
wanted to
bukan
learn
Caesar
magic,
si
they
Phantom
lied.
Whistle itu.
That's the thing about children.
Oke.
Whenever they're trying to cover something up, it always shows
Oke, dan Caesar
somehow.
nggak tahu ya kalau
I can sense that their
Line sama
lives have
Linet
been
itu
hard,
anggota Fatu ya.
possibly even dangerous too.
Mereka nggak seperti anak-anak
Not like
biasanya.
other
gitu.
children. It's a shame that I can't do more to help them.
Tapi tahu nggak ya kalau Line itu salah satu yang diajarin
I
sama
decided
Caesar,
to
si
tell them
Lorenzo
a
tahu
bit
nggak
about
itu?
how
Nah,
I see the world.
I don't know,
It's
guys.
full of lies
Tapi
and falsehoods.
kayaknya bukan masalah itu si
And that
Lorenzo.
PS,
Aduh, sorry kepencet guys.
I
Bukan
hope they
masalah
won't
itu si
find my
Lorenzo,
nagging
kayaknya soal
annoying.
masalah Gemma sih paling.
Children are so opinionated nowadays. Will it do them more harm than good for someone they've only known 10 days to lecture them like that? PPS. Maybe I'm overthinking this. Children aren't interested in grand philosophies. It probably just went in one ear and out the other. I bet they've already forgotten every word I said. Oh, Caesar, Caesar. Just mind your own business next time.
Oke. Stop reading. Jadi
Two magic
ketahuan ya.
geniuses with a father and a mission, huh?
Itu Line
Sounds a
sama
lot like he
Linet
was
aja.
writing about Linny and Lynette, don't you think? So did they meet Caesar when they were kids? Let's go ask Linny.
Iya, Cok, itu gurunya Line sama Linet anjay. Walah. Anjir, dari kecil dari 10 tahun yang lalu udah disuruh ikut misi ya. Iya sih, soalnya mereka berdua berbakat guys, sama Freminet juga.
Shh, hold that thought. As I expected, there's a lot of fishy things going on in this place.
Fishy? Uh-oh, what have you found?
All in good time. Before we go over our new leads, I want to tell you how a high-altitude escape is performed. First, the magician slots themselves into a magic box in full view of the audience. The box is then suspended high in the air, and a short while later, the base automatically opens. At this point, a dummy will fall out of the box, but it looks real enough to grab the audience's attention, and they start wailing and screaming. Meanwhile, the real magician, who has by now blended into the crowd, waits for a good moment to make their appearance and put on a hysterical performance. Oh no! Is that me? Did I just fall to my death?
Very vivid description. Paimon can really picture it. And then what?
The audience's gaze then turns to the magician, and by the time they realize what's happened, the dummy has vanished, as if everything that just happened was some sort of shared illusion. Of course, that's just how I think the process should work, theoretically speaking. The inventor of this trick never performed it successfully. When the box opened, Caesar was the one who fell out, and not the dummy. He fell right to the ground from the highest point of the opera house.
Anjir, berarti beneran mati ya.
No one could hope to survive that fall. Not without a vision, at least. And no one else has ever attempted this trick since.
Terus nggak pernah dipakai lagi
My
triknya.
understanding of how it works is just based on what it could gather from his notes and the relevant gadgets
Anjir,
here in his
kecelakaan
workshop.
ya berarti ya.
So Caesar's famous high-altitude escape has never been done, huh? Paimon was about to say how cool it would have been to see it in person, but if it's that dangerous, it's probably for the best that no one else tries to do it. Wait a second. So if a dummy's supposed to drop out of the box, then where does the real magician go? How does he get out?
Glad you asked. That brings us to the secret of said box. This box right here is the one that Caesar constructed himself to use in the performance, and it's not as simple as it looks. Inside, there's a device that only the magician himself would know about. Once the magician's inside, and the box is lifted up into the air, the audience's view of the box is fixed at a certain angle. From where they're standing, they have a clear view of the front, sides, and bottom, but the back and the top are now no longer visible. At this point, the magician presses a button inside the box, opening a secret door out of view. He then escapes through this trapdoor onto the opera house roof, waits for the dummy to fall and distract the audience, and quietly returns to ground level.
That's way simpler than Paimon imagined. Even Paimon could probably do it.
Well, there's a little more to it than that, of course. The hardest part of this trick is controlling the audience's mood and reactions. That takes an exceptional degree of showmanship. There's the falling dummy, the miraculous reappearance, the pompous performing. Maybe the magician would even have themselves tied up before it begins to strengthen the impression that there's no escape. Many days and nights of careful research and painstaking practice would have gone into this, all culminating in a performance just a few minutes long, but one that still manages to transform the shock and grief of a tragic accident to the joy and laughter of a mesmerizing magic trick. Caesar was a highly accomplished magician, but unfortunately, even he didn't manage to pull it off.
So, how did it go so wrong? You said you found some fishy stuff here. Have you figured out what really happened?
I can make a pretty good guess. I looked into the case files. The magic box Caesar was using at the time of his death had the secret button I mentioned positioned on the right-hand side. And, sure enough, he always used his right hand as his dominant hand in public.
Okay. Nothing suspicious there.
But here's the strange thing. Most of the devices in this workshop have the mechanism on the left-hand side, including this box right here. Which leads me to believe that Caesar was in fact left-handed. Because a magician can't afford to have their most basic habits stand out too much. People naturally focus their attention on the most important details of the task or situation at hand. But a magician needs to be able to redirect an audience's attention at will, so as to avoid arousing their suspicion. The essence of magic is getting people to believe a lie. If even the truth raises eyebrows, the falsehoods become all the more difficult to mask. And so, Caesar trained himself to use his right hand to align with his audience's expectations. Great magic always requires sacrifices. But in his most stressful and nerve-wracking moments, and when no one was watching, reflex would kick in and he'd use his left hand. That's why he set his gadgets with the mechanism on his left. Exactly. I think that's likely what happened. Caesar would have been under a lot of time pressure during the escape. He'd have had mere seconds to open the hidden compartment, retrieve the dummy, then open the secret door and make a swift escape. But I'm sure he was confident. He would have rehearsed countless times to the point where it was second nature. He'd barely need to think about what he was doing because muscle memory would guide him through. So he opened the compartment, took out the dummy, checked everything was in order, and then went to leave. With his left hand, he reached for the button, and suddenly, his heart skipped a beat. It wasn't there. Much like when you reach for your keys but find your pocket empty, his mind needed a moment to process what was going on. Instinctively, his left hand would keep feeling around for the missing button, maybe for another second or two, until the bottom of the box gave way. With the stakes being as high as they were, just a 2-second delay cost him everything. The authorities would find nothing suspicious and conclude that his death was due to his own error.
When in reality, someone switched the boxes, and they did it to murder him. But how would they be able to make the switch without being noticed? That would be difficult to pull off, no?
It would have to have been someone who knew that he was left-handed and who could move his props around without arousing suspicion.
Alat-alatnya
Someone who was always by
pasti
his
sesuai
side.
dengan orang kidal, maksudnya kayak tombolnya di sebelah kiri kita karena kan dia kidal ya, jadi sering pakai tangan
Isn't
kiri
that
kan
right,
pasti.
Lorenzo?
Oh, Lorenzo kan yang bunuh kan.
Sleeping dogs lie, could you? There's not a lot of people who'd go to all this trouble for some magician who died 10 years
Ternyata
ago.
tidak ada plot twist, maksudnya tetap
Didn't
Lorenzo
want to have to
anjir.
do this, you know.
Dan ya kelihatan dia kan orang kaya sekarang, jadi dia jadi dia udah bisa bayar orang-orang gitu loh.
I hoped you'd do what's good for you and back off like the lady, but you disappoint me.
You mean Gemma? So you are the one who's been threatening her?
Yes, although however stubborn she might be, she was never much of a liability.
Tapi aku yakin Lorenzo kayak gitu karena suka sama Gemma juga
You
pasti.
never even knew him, but for some reason you just wouldn't drop it. Which is why you can't leave this place alive. Take them out and make it quick.
Okay.
Do your worst.
Jadi gua jelasin sebentar ya guys tadi ya apa. Jadi kenapa bisa mati si siapa tadi? Si Caesar, karena dia itu sebenarnya bikin semua alat-alatnya itu sesuai dengan tangannya dia itu kidal guys. Jadi kayak tadi tombolnya harusnya biasanya di sebelah kiri atau gimana segala macam. Nah pas trik yang jatuh dari atas itu pakai boxnya itu diganti sama Lorenzo. Nah jadi dia kaget pas nyari tombolnya, lah kok nggak ada nih, ternyata tombolnya diganti, makanya triknya gagal dan akhirnya dia meninggal. Anjir, wah pembunuhan ngeri cuk. Soalnya kan si Lorenzo asistennya, udah jelas dia yang tahu dong tahu triknya juga, tahu alat-alatnya gimana juga. Nah mungkin ada kecemburuan hati itu juga sama si Caesar itu juga, makanya Lorenzo tega bunuh si Caesar, meskipun di sini belum tahu ya alasan si Lorenzo bunuh, tapi kalau sesuai hipotesis gue harusnya karena cemburu atau karena pengen ngerebut si Gemma itu. Soalnya kayaknya si Lorenzo suka sama Gemma deh, tapi kan karena si Gemma itu tunangannya si Caesar, jadinya Lorenzo sampai tega bunuh mungkin ya. Tapi kita akan lihat kenapa si Lorenzo bunuh si Caesar ya. Dan si Caesar tadi ternyata gurunya ini ya, gurunya siapa? Gurunya Line sama Linet ya.
Motion to compel. And away I go. Breath of the flame. Boom boom. Flash. Glory to the Shogun. Starfall. Ha!
Here comes the finale.
Nggak apa-apa nih. Anjir tega banget lu. Oke. Anjir.
You kids are tougher than you look.
Had enough yet, Lorenzo? Your cronies can't help you now. I think it's high time you started talking. And what I'd really like to know is, why did you murder
Kenapa kamu bunuh
Caesar?
Caesar?
If I had a Mora for every time you said that man's name. Of course you idolized Caesar, everyone else did. But I was the real genius magician.
Okay.
Me! He was just an amateur who did cheap tricks for gullible children. I was the one who made magic into the fine art it is today. The aristocrats doffed their hats to me!
Oke, jadi
So
dia
it was jealousy.
iri ya. Oke.
Jealousy. Hatred.
Oke,
more
dia
like.
benci sama Caesar.
I hated Caesar. All he cared about was his magic. He lived and breathed it. He poured everything into his street performances and his stupid tours like it was just a hobby to him, never bothering to think about Mora. What sort of fool devotes their life to the art of deception and never has a Mora to show for it? But the people loved him, didn't they? Oh,
Soalnya
how
kalau
they
Lorenzo
looked up to him.
pengen punya duit
No one
banyak,
gave me
kalau
a
si
second
Caesar kan
look.
yang penting aku mau
All I ever
perform
heard
aja
was,
gitu loh.
"Oh, your master's amazing, isn't he?" Amazing. Yeah, so amazing that he was completely broke. Every other apprentice was living it up at their master's expense, but no, not me. I put in all the work, mastered all the skills, and it brought me nothing more than the life I already had. He forbade me from using magic to trick people out of their Mora. There was nothing he hated more than that.
Kayak si Caesar ngelarang si Lorenzo buat jangan jadiin sulap itu buat cari
And
duit
with his
gitu.
reputation in Fontaine, it was too risky for me to go it alone.
Sebenarnya nggak apa-apa sih sebenarnya kan
As long as he was
ini aja,
alive,
tapi
if I
dia
dabbled in
cemburu
my
apa
own brand of
iri juga
money-making
karena
magic, he would expose me
orang-orang lebih
and it
suka
would destroy me.
triknya Caesar daripada dia
I had to
gitu.
kill him. There was no other way.
Terus
He had
dia
to
jadi
go.
asistennya Caesar, terus malah jadi bunuh si
And
Caesar.
this was your
anjir.
only motive?
It was reason enough. What other motive would I need?
Well, I was under the impression that there might
Wah,
have been other
kirain
factors
gara-gara
at play.
cemburu. Ah iya kan?
For instance, Maybe you were in love with Gemma, but she was engaged to Caesar.
Iya
Love with
kan.
Gemma, don't be ridiculous.
Guess I was wrong about that then.
Oke,
Next question.
tapi dia nggak ngaku ya.
Are you the Phantom Weasel?
Nggak ngaku kalau suka sama Gemma.
Caesar was
Oh ya kan, dia ternyata
so
Phantom Weasel,
strict with
guys.
me. He insisted that his way was the right way. That the sole purpose of magic was to bring joy to the world. I never bought into any of that. I was more interested in the practical value of
Jadi dia
magic.
pura-pura jadi, bukan pura-pura, jadi dia
Fill
emang,
my pockets with all kinds of valuable treasures.
jadi emang dia ternyata Phantom Weasel-nya dia. Tapi apakah sesuai dengan apa namanya hipotesis kita? Jadi mungkin dia kan ini ya nyuri dari yang kaya buat dikasihin ke yang miskin. Mungkin biar itu nge-framing kalau yang berbuat itu beneran Caesar. Kan Caesar baik banget guys, jadi dia sering bantu anak-anak segala macam, sering ngasih hadiah ke anak-anak segala macam. Nah mungkin si Lorenzo melakukan itu biar nge-framing, biar meyakinkan kalau beneran Phantom Weasel itu si siapa tadi namanya, si Caesar gitu loh. Jadi biar yakin, oh ya beneran Caesar, soalnya barang-barangnya di tempat Caesar habis Lorenzo melakukan itu. Kita dengar ya.
Charlotte told us that the weasel would steal whatever people valued, no matter how much it was worth.
Nah,
That's just how it looked from the outside. What would any thief want with second-rate loot? I've only ever targeted high-value items.
Okay.
I stole cheap things as a way of practicing my craft. It was other people's overactive imaginations that conjured up the preposterous image they then dubbed the Phantom Weasel.
So that's the story, huh? Well, I hope you're ready to tell
Ternyata
it all
bukan rahasia,
over
dia
again
cuma
during your trial.
ngincer
What choice do I
orang-orang
have?
kaya karena dia emang
You're a pack of wolves and
nyarinya
you've
nggak
got me
asal, dia
between
emang
your
nyari yang orang kaya aja
jaws.
gitu loh.
You've seen what's here, and my last-ditch effort to stop it getting out has failed. What else can I
Pantes dia
do?
jadi kaya anjir. Dan mungkin
So be it.
apa ya, tapi
I've
katanya
enjoyed
dikasih ke
power and
orang-orang
wealth
yang
for the last
miskin tuh
10
apa
years.
gara-gara Caesar ya kan, udah di
Likes
frame ke
which
Caesar
Caesar
ya
could never give
kan,
me.
Caesar sering ngasih-ngasih ya.
I wouldn't choose for
Iya
things
sih.
to end this way, but I regret nothing.
Anjir, nggak
Very
nyesel
well.
sama sekali
In
anjir.
that case, I'll contact the guards. Traveler, Paimon, keep an eye on Lorenzo for me. I'll meet you just outside the workshop when I'm back.
Oke, kita tangkap si Lorenzo. Dia udah ngaku ya. Ya kan karena udah dituduhkan ke siapa namanya, ke si Caesar ya kan. Caesar sering ngasih ke anak-anak kecil, sering ngasih ke orang-orang miskin gitu, wishlist. Tapi si Lorenzo itu ternyata emang cuma nyuri ke orang-orang yang kaya. Dia juga milih-milih, nggak asal nyolong gitu. Terus karena yang dituduh udah Caesar kan, jadinya orang-orang mikirnya dia nyuri dari orang yang kaya buat dikasih ke orang-orang yang miskin gitu. Tapi dia nggak ngaku guys kalau dia cemburu sama Gemma tadi juga. Tapi kayaknya ada itunya juga, tapi emang dia nggak ngaku aja. Oke, next penutupnya ya, gimana nih konklusinya? Kita tangkap.
Lily has told me the whole story. Lorenzo, do you confess to the murder of Caesar and to framing him for the Phantom Weasel's crimes?
Look who's finally developed a conscience. What kind of disciple murders their own master? I hope it was worth it. Because there'll be hell to pay.
Anjir, dia nggak nyesel cok bunuh Caesar.
Looks like it's
Ternyata
all
tidak ada
over.
plot twist anjir.
What should we do next, Lenny? Should we start preparing for your show?
Maksudnya udah kelihatan dari
Let's
awal.
rendezvous with Lynette and Gemma first. With Lorenzo in custody, Gemma will no longer have to fear for her safety.
Good point. We should go tell Gemma the good news right away. It'll give her some peace of mind for sure.
Bukan Caesar yang bunuh ya. Oh, masih di bawah ternyata. Loh, kok di atas? Jalannya tuh gimana sih guys ini? Anjir, membingungkan aja. Membingungkan anjay. Tega banget ya anjir, sampai bunuh orang loh.
You're back. You were so quick. I've only just finished my third dessert.
Your third? Lynette, come on, we've talked about this. Everything in moderation. You're not gonna have any room left for dinner now.
It's fine. I'll shift to exercise mode and jog off the excess sugar.
That's besides the point. Well, it's done now. But try to eat a more balanced diet in the future.
Point taken.
Did everything go okay?
Of course! Lorenzo was no match for us. The guards are taking him into custody as we speak.
Gosh, that's amazing. I'm sorry, I still didn't know if I could trust you, but now it seems I can. I had my suspicions about Lorenzo, but
It's okay, we understand. He did threaten you. Someone would find it hard to trust strangers in your position too. But you don't need to be scared anymore. Everything's gonna be okay.
Sorry. My emotions are all over the place right now. I've been waiting for this day to come for so long. I always wanted to report Lorenzo.
Gila.
He took all of Caesar's property, which I found suspicious. But I had people watching me all the time, so I couldn't risk looking into it.
Anjir,
I was so afraid.
Sama Lorenzo juga loh, perang-perangnya Caesar bangsat juga anjir.
And then no one would be left to visit Caesar's grave. So I never had the courage to speak out. Thank you all. Truly. Thank you so much.
Bajingan juga si Lorenzo ya, bajingan. Oke, terus kita ziarah lagi ke tempat Caesar ya. Kita sudah tahu siapa pembunuhnya dan ternyata dibunuh ya, bukan kecelakaan anjir. Ya kecelakaan, tapi maksudnya gara-gara si Lorenzo anjing lagi. Bangsat sih guys itu guys.
He never showed any signs that there were problems between him and Caesar in public. From the outside, looked like they got along great. To think that lowlife's been living life to the fullest all this time, while Caesar's name was getting dragged through the mud. It's a travesty. At least his soul can finally rest in peace now, thanks to your efforts.
Kan psikopat sih, udah pembunuhan berencana anjir.
Before it was too late.
Don't blame yourself, Gemma. This isn't your fault.
Yeah, you still have the rest of your life to live. Caesar wouldn't want to see you spending it feeling guilty.
Berarti beneran mati ya.
Cheer up, Gemma. My brother's doing a magic show at the Opera House tomorrow evening. Would you like to come along? It might raise your spirits. This show will be a special one. We're holding it in Caesar's honor.
In Caesar's honor? Really? Oh, thank you. I'll be there.
Great. We'll see you tomorrow evening. Traveler, Paimon, don't be late.
Don't worry, we'll be there. No way are we gonna miss out on a free magic show.
Oke, kita akan...
Paimon feels like we're forgetting something.
Ini ya. Jam 6. Dong, dong. Oh, besoknya, oke. Anjir, cuma gara-gara iri dengki guys. Ya, makanya iri dengki itu bahaya guys, bisa bunuh orang anjir. Fuck. Ya mudah-mudahan kita dijauhkan dari orang-orang yang seperti itulah guys. Semoga kita aman-aman aja lah ya. Ya iri itu wajar guys, semua manusia itu bisa iri, cuman apa, jangan terlalu iri lah. Kita tetap harus bersyukur dengan apa yang udah kita punya itu loh, karena ya setiap orang jalan ceritanya beda-beda. Tapi yang jelas Tuhan itu adil guys. Tapi kan adilnya Tuhan itu kan apa namanya guys, ya hitung-hitungannya Tuhan gitu loh, bukan hitung-hitungannya kita gitu. Jadi ya kalau Tuhan mah pasti kasih itu udah pasti adil guys. Jadi kita cukup bersyukur aja sama berusaha yang jelas gitu, berusaha dan berdoa kalau buat mau nambah rezeki kita gitu loh. Tapi kalau apa namanya, Tuhan itu ngasih pasti ke semua orang tuh adil, tinggal gimana kita usaha dan doa kita aja gitu sih kalau menurut gue ya. Jadi ya udahlah, gak usah iri dengki lah. Semua orang punya jalan ceritanya masing-masing, semua orang punya jatahnya masing-masing, semua orang punya apa namanya, ceritanya masing-masing. Semua orang tuh MC di dunianya masing-masing guys, main karakter di dunia masing-masing. Jadi gak usah iri lah, bersyukur aja. Oke, kita sampai ke acaranya ya. Ini akan scene ya. Wih, si Linet nggak ini, nggak apa, nggak on stage. Apa kita yang disuruh jadi asisten?
Not this time. My brother's going solo today.
Oh, nggak, ternyata
So I'll be
solo.
watching with you.
Oke.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody's ready because the show is about to begin. The great magician Linny has prepared a spectacular show for us
Oke,
all
scene ya.
tonight,
Jadi monggo tidak.
concluding with an all-new grand finale that no audience has ever seen before.
Thank you all so much for coming. Now, prepare to join me on a journey through the mystical and miraculous.
Exciting stuff, isn't it?
Yes, it's just... It reminds me of him.
Ya, Caesar gurunya ini kok,
Caesar was a famous
gurunya
magician
Line.
too. So, how did you two first meet, Gemma?
Well, I was out on the street once, and I saw him performing for little children. Children love magic, because they're willing to believe in things that can't be rationally explained. Caesar had this amazing way of bringing them into a dreamlike world, and somehow, I felt drawn to him too. So, I went up and asked him to do a trick for me.
Aw, that sounds so romantic. What trick did he do?
It was with a flower. He took it in his hand, snapped his fingers, and it magically appeared on my head. I was so happy that day. No one had ever given me a flower before that.
Oh, that's so cute. Actually, now that you mention it, Linny's done that one before.
Nah, kalau ini
Is that right?
MC-nya yang
suppose
Lumine
he's a
cocok
romantic
guys,
at
tapi kalau
heart,
MC-nya Aether
just like
lucu
Caesar.
juga ngasih bunga ke
So,
kita.
let's treasure the time we have with him.
Makanya
After
emang
all,
sebenarnya dua karakter ini
You
cocok-cocok
never know
aja,
when the
cuman
people
kan
dearest to you might
jadi lucu.
be gone.
Kalau yang kemarin kalau kita pakai yang Aether, story quest-nya si siapa namanya, si Yoimiya cocok. Tapi kalau yang ini cocoknya Lumine aja.
Paimon doesn't really know how to comfort you, but at the very least, no one's gonna be intimidating you from now on. You can breathe easy at last, right?
Right. Yes, you can breathe easy now. Phantom Weasel.
Tuh,
See? Even when that's just... Wait, what?
loh, Phantom Weasel.
Lorenzo escaped? Where is he?
Loh,
What do you mean, Phantom Weasel?
loh, kita
As
juga
Lily
kaget
once
guys.
said, a performer's job is to commit fully to their role and put on a flawless performance for their audience. But once the bag of tricks is empty and the curtain falls, it's time to end the show.
Hah?
The spotlight is no place for someone
Phantom
with
Weasel?
no more cards up their sleeve. It's been 10 years, Gemma. Aren't you tired of the grieving widow act? I think it's time to put an end to it.
What are you talking about?
What? Wah, ini baru
Paimon
plot
doesn't
twist
like
anjir.
this riddle.
Gue juga nggak bisa baca anjir.
This is going. Come on, say something.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all enjoying the performance so far.
What?
There will now be a brief intermission, after which Linny will perform the most electrifying act of tonight's show. The one we've all been waiting for. The final performance will take place outside of the Opera House. So please make your way outside in a calm and orderly fashion.
The Phantom Weasel never did like public places, did they? Don't worry, this place will be quiet soon. Let's
Itu ada
go somewhere
Charlotte.
else for now.
What? Ternyata Phantom Weasel Jim, kok bisa? What? Jangan-jangan apa berarti benar si siapa si Lorenzo nggak ditolak Gemma apa gimana? Wah, I don't know guys, what the fuck. Tahuan.
Dear me, this is awkward, isn't it? And unfortunately, I'm all out of gadgets, so I'm afraid I can't do any tricks to liven up the mood. This is a big mistake for a magician to make, but thankfully, I do have a backup plan. Now, who wants to hear a story?
Linny? Don't we have more important things to address right now? Lynette accused Gemma of being the real Phantom Weasel a moment ago. Oh, what the heck's going on?
All in good time. Magicians are good at guessing what people are thinking. I know the questions you want to ask. And as it happens, the story I'm about to tell might answer a few of them.
Really? Well then, let's hear it! Paimon's dying of curiosity here!
Let's go back to the very beginning. A decade ago, when the Phantom Weasel was terrorizing the court of Fontaine. She never missed a target, never left a trace, and no treasure was safe from her thieving hands. But as her infamy grew, so did the readiness of the police, and her opportunities to act became ever fewer. Every day, she ran the risk of being exposed for who she was. Of course, she could not simply take this lying down, and before long, she found her ticket to freedom. She would create a scapegoat, a false weasel to close the chapter on her behalf.
Oh, anjir.
After weighing her options, she set her sights on a renowned magician, Caesar. After all, magic and theft shared enough similarities for people to buy the story when the truth came out.
So then what?
Being the master deceiver she was, the weasel easily earned Caesar's trust. Now, all that remained was to frame him for her countless crimes.
Anjir,
But as she was
oke,
considering how to make her
ngerti.
move,
Oke,
she
gua kayaknya
noticed
ngerti,
Caesar's
guys.
aggrieved pupil, and a new thought entered her mind. Maybe I don't need to get my hands dirty after all. At her encouragement, Lorenzo tampered with Caesar's magic box, causing him to fall to his death. Afterwards, Lorenzo seized his master's property, and the weasel set about tarnishing Caesar's reputation. Two co-conspirators committed the perfect crime.
Oh, mereka kerja sama ternyata, anjir.
I've got to hand it to you.
Tapi kenapa
You're both
dilukai apa
exceptional
gimana?
storytellers. It's enough to make even me wonder whether there was really another mastermind behind all this, pulling the strings. But I just have one question. You seem to think that I am the villain in this tale. What's brought this on, Linny? Is it something that Lorenzo said?
Don't worry, Lorenzo said nothing at all. But I never believed that he was the weasel, and in fact, my investigation only made me more certain of that. He was too forthcoming with his confession, as if there was something else he was trying to hide.
How disappointing. So you'd sooner trust Lorenzo than me, even without a shred of evidence?
A magician is an expert at playing the audience to get the result they want. And I have no doubt that you, Gemma, are equally talented in this regard. With a little help from Lorenzo, you put on a very convincing performance. The lovesick fiancé, whose devotion to her betrothed is unshakable, even under threats of violence. Caesar was maligned and hated by all for 10 years, but you? Everyone sympathized with your plight. Who would suspect for 1 second that the lovely young lady always seen weeping in front of Caesar's grave was actually the mastermind behind his demise? No, not that poor lady. Perish the thought.
Wait, So you mean the whole intimidation thing was just a hoax? Gemma and Lorenzo were both in on it? But why would Lorenzo agree to that? And why didn't he sell her out even at the end instead of admitting to being the weasel himself?
Yes, why indeed? Maybe Gemma
Ya,
herself
tapi
could
kenapa
enlighten us on that question.
Lorenzo ngaku kalau dia Phantom
Lenny,
Weasel?
if you're so confident in your version of events, then I think the answer should be obvious. Having killed Caesar with his own hands, Lorenzo was plagued by overwhelming guilt. Revealing the Phantom Weasel's true identity would serve no purpose. But if the Weasel remained free, then she could take care of Lorenzo's loved ones.
An excellent answer, though sadly a little dull.
Is that right? Well, don't let me bore you. If you'd care to change the topic to something more interesting, I'd be much obliged.
As a matter of fact, there's one thing I'd really like to understand. Why would the real Weasel have targeted things that only have value to other people? Could you shed any light on that?
Of course. After all, we're just telling stories here, aren't we? If I had to guess, I would say that the real Weasel must have had a terrible childhood. Left to fend for herself after her parents died young.
Oke, jadi dia dulu sering dibully lah ya.
Scorned, beaten. She'd scrounge waste paper from garbage bins to draw on, using twigs and dirt for lack
Tinggal
of
mati
ink
orang
and
tuanya
pen.
pas masih kecil.
She'd sew ugly rag dolls from whatever scrap material she could get her hands on. This was her only source of happiness in life. But it was all she needed, and she was content. Until the world decided that even this was too good for her. Once again, she was betrayed. And this time, everything was taken from her. She felt like life was a miry pit that dragged her further down the more she struggled to escape. At that tender age, she should have been happy. Instead, she stood in the shadows and watched with envy as all good things in the world passed her by. This was a fate too cruel for anyone to bear.
Ini
Her
baru
pain
plot twist.
became breeding ground for dark thoughts. Thoughts which festered and grew into a twisted solution to her troubles. I detest the happiness of others, in all its forms alike. I will rob them of
Dia jahat gara-gara
everything they hold
dijahati
to be
sejak
good and
dulu
true,
kecil lah.
and it will fill the void in my soul.
Terus dia ada
That's some
mulai
pretty heavy
kehilangan
stuff.
hatinya anjir.
Now it all makes sense.
Does this story satisfy you, Linny?
Yes, it is quite to my tastes. Thank you for helping to clear up my confusion.
Huh. That's right. What drove you to write that letter, Gemma? What were you trying to achieve there? Because without that, none of this would have ever come to light.
She didn't write the letter.
Bukan dia yang nulis suratnya.
After 10 long years, I'd hoped that the Phantom Weasel would be consigned to the history books by now. But it seems like someone still wasn't ready to let her finally be at peace. Linny. Or should I call you
Oh,
the
yang
Phantom
nulis dia
Copycat
kan.
now?
Oh, tuh kan biar muncul
You
yang
were the one
asli,
who posted
guys.
that letter outside the opera house. But why?
Very sharp, Phantom Weasel. Still as shrewd as ever. Well, no need for me to be coy about it. Our goal was to clear
Ya
Caesar's
kan
name.
biar yang asli muncul, guys. Yang nulis dia. Makanya kenapa harus nunggu sampai 10 tahun kan?
That's it? You had no other agenda?
Of course we did. We made it quite clear in the letter, I believe. I shall take from you that which you hold most dear, just as you did to me 10 years ago.
10 years ago? You mean Caesar's death? You met him?
Nah, ini akan dikasih tahu kalau gurunya Line dia.
Oh, I get it. You were those two
Dia mah
obnoxious
juga tahu.
kids. It's been so long, and you're all grown up now. I didn't recognize you. He taught you magic back then, didn't he? For what, 10 days or something? And you went to all this trouble. Why? Because you feel like you still owe him something?
We remember all our debts, however great or small. 10 years ago, Caesar's reputation was torn to shreds, and his legacy was thrown out. 10 years on, and no one cares what the truth is anymore. But we did not forget. And so we came to find you.
And? What exactly did you take from me? I'm still standing, as
aku
you
masih
can
bebas
see.
nih. Kamu ambil apa dari aku?
Lorenzo has admitted to everything. I'm free.
Free? Do you really think so? Caesar once told me that even though the world is filled with lies and falsehoods, we must find our own truth. I think that applies to you too. Truth can take many forms. Prized possessions with nostalgic value, fervent hopes and dreams, and irreplaceable people.
Okay.
Life took many things from you, and those wounds never healed. When they ached unbearably in the dead of night, stealing became your way of numbing the pain.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying that for the last 10 years, you've been living a rather uneventful life. Perhaps that's because you found something other than a life of crime to fill the hole? Back to Lorenzo for a second. He murdered his own master, played along with your act, and took pains to make sure any suspicion would be directed towards him. But what did he have to gain from all that? He knew who you were and the things you'd done, and despite that, he was willing to give everything up for your sake. He's the reason that you haven't felt the compulsion to steal in all these years. You're more than just accomplices in murder. You're the only real friends each other has. So I think you know, deep down, that he is the only truth you have in your life. But that truth is gone now.
Orang yang bisa dipercaya cuma si Lorenzo tadi.
Congratulations on your freedom, Gemma.
Gemma emang nggak ditangkap, cuman orang yang bisa dia percaya sudah ditangkap. Sekarang kamu cuma sendirian gitu loh.
You've still got a long life ahead of you after all.
Gather round, one and all. The time has now come for the amazing Linny to perform his final act in tonight's show. I'm sure you're all wondering what he has planned for the grand finale. Well, wonder no more, for the answer is a death-defying high-altitude escape.
A high-altitude escape?
10 years ago.
I'm sure you all remember the magician Caesar. This was the very trick that led to his fatal fall, after which he was dubbed the Phantom Weasel. But we have now learned that Caesar was wrongly accused, and that the real Weasel has now confessed to their crimes.
Guess that's my cue to leave. Whew. I've been practicing this one for ages now, but I'm still a little nervous.
Oke, ini baru ya scene-nya.
I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
Gemma emang nggak ditangkap guys,
There may be a
cuman
lot of people watching tonight, but you alone are my true witnesses.
Cuman dia udah nggak punya orang yang dipercaya karena
Lenny, wait. You two hid a
karena
lot from
Lorenzo-nya
Caesar.
udah ditangkap.
He went to his grave without ever knowing your secrets. So what about now? Are you an open book? Or are you still the same as ever?
Makanya kan tadi tulisan di warningnya kan akan merebut yang berharga darimu.
One day, you'll end up exactly where I am today. Maybe then you'll finally understand.
Seperti yang kamu lakukan 10 tahun yang lalu.
So,
Tapi berarti ya soalnya si Lorenzo tuh ngakuin semua, jadi Gemma akan aman, cuman Gemma jadi udah nggak punya teman gitu aja.
what about Gemma?
She'll figure out what's best for her soon enough. Oh, and if you'd like to see Lenny after the show, you know where he'll be. The usual haunt.
All right. Well, let's go and watch Lenny's finale then. This trick's a pretty dangerous one, but he should be able to pull it off, right?
Anjir, ternyata guys, Phantom Weasel itu si Gemma ini anjir. Ternyata dia pencuri ulung gitu loh. Terus ketemu si Caesar, terus kenal si Lorenzo juga kan. Terus malah akhirnya si Gemma sama Lorenzo kerjasama untuk nge-framing si Caesar. Anjir, Gemma jahat juga ya. Jadi dia juga cuma pura-pura ya jadi suka sama si Caesar segala macem. Ternyata Caesar juga ditipu sama si Gemma. Cuman kenapa ya si Lorenzo mau ya gitu loh. Ya selain iri itu juga ya, tapi kayaknya karena emang suka juga deh sama si Gemma kayaknya ya. Cuman ya itu sih yang bisa gue tangkap. Oke, itu di Charlotte anjir. Oke, sekarang pertunjukan terakhir si Line ya.
Magic should be mysterious, surprising, and defy logic. Magic is hard work. Every single movement has to be practiced thousands of times.
It's alright. We're used to that.
Anjir, Line pas kecil.
We're sorry. You've taught us so much, but we can't tell you the whole truth.
It's okay. Do you still remember what I told you? This world is full of lies and falsehoods. I only hope that one day you can find your own truth.
What about you? Have you found your truth?
Magic is my truth. I want to perform a magic trick so great that people will always think of me when they talk about it. For a magician, what greater honor could there be?
Look! Behold! Linny is sealed inside the box. Will he manage to escape? 10 years ago, Caesar attempted this very trick, and it was at this precise moment that...
Watch out!
Mysterious. Surprising. And logic-defying. Isn't that right? This honor belongs to you, Caesar. I'm just sorry it's a little late.
Tahun
Did you see
lamanya.
that? One minute he was falling, and the next, he turned into flowers.
How could he possibly have done that?
How mysterious. I didn't blink once. He just vanished right in front of my eyes.
What a heart-stopping magic show! This was really worth the trip. Caesar's name has finally been cleared, and Fontaine's new star magician Linny has fulfilled a wish on his behalf. Oh, I couldn't ask for a better grand finale. It will make a great headline for the Steambird tomorrow, even if I do say so myself.
Looks like everyone really loved Linny's grand finale. Paimon doesn't see Linny anywhere. Where'd he go? Oh, Lynette said he'd be waiting for us at the usual hunt. But, where is that?
Jauh banget ke pemakaman.
You mean the one where Caesar's buried? Yeah, that's probably it. This whole magic show kinda seemed like Linny's way of saying goodbye to Caesar. So it makes sense that that's where he'd be afterward. Alright, let's go look for him there.
Oke, kita tutup. Jadi ceritanya seperti itu guys untuk story questnya si siapa namanya, si Linny ya. Ya kita lah investigasi membersihkan nama gurunya Linny sama Lynette biar bersih guys. Kalau Phantom Weasel bukan dia dan dia emang beneran bukan orang jahat gitu loh. Anjir, tapi yang nyerang jahat banget sih. Sampai bunuh loh. Batnya sudah begitulah ceritanya. Ternyata si Phantom Weasel yang asli itu tunangannya, yang ternyata dia itu emang apa namanya guys, pencuri ulung. Jadi dia juga pengen membuat kesalahannya itu taruh ke Caesar itu biar dia nggak dicari-cari lagi gitu.
Are you alright?
Pengen bersihkan namanya
Paimon was
juga lah.
scared to death when the chain broke. Paimon was sure something had gone horribly wrong.
Tapi juga dulu punya trauma juga si Gemma, sering dibully juga segala macam, cuman ya dia kan melakukan hal yang salah tetap aja nggak boleh lah ya guys itu. Meskipun dia mungkin dulu diuji terus, tapi kalau dia membalasnya dengan cara yang jelek juga ya ujung-ujungnya pasti dapat balasan juga gitu.
I can't help but wonder what Caesar thought in those final moments. Did he regret taking Gemma and Lorenzo on?
Apakah dia menyesal punya teman Gemma sama Lorenzo
Did he
gitu?
believe that it was his own slip up right until the end?
You know, Paimon's been wanting to ask
Yang
you about
mengkhianati
something
dia
ever since we were
orang-orang
in Caesar's
terdekatnya,
workshop.
anjir.
You learned magic from Caesar once, didn't you? When was that?
After I joined the House of the Hearth. To be honest, Lynette and I had an agenda when we approached him. I told you about my past before, remember? As a young boy, I survived by secretly learning magic from street performers. I'd watch their tricks and try to figure out how they were done, but I quickly realized that observation alone could only get me so far. What I saw was the polished final performance, but the rigorous training they put in behind the scenes remained invisible to me. I needed to learn how to improve my sleight of hand, hone my misdirection skills, and make niftier props. We were gifted enough that we'd made some progress by ourselves, but without proper guidance from a professional magician, we quickly
Jadi dia
plateaued.
belajar sama siapa namanya? Sama si Caesar itu juga untuk meningkatkan skillnya guys buat misi.
That's why you sought Caesar out?
Yes.
Buat misi dari
We
si
figured there was no harm in asking,
father
but it took
dari
us by
Arlecchino
surprise
gitu
that he
loh.
was so willing to teach us.
Jadi dia
In all,
nggak
we
cuma
only
pengen
spent 10
mau
short days
magic
together,
gitu loh,
but he
nggak
was
cuma
very
mau
good
tahu
to
trik
us.
tapi buat ningkatin
By
skillnya juga
contrast,
gitu loh.
we hid so many things from him. For instance, when he asked why I wanted to learn magic, I answered,
It's my passion.
passion.
Dia pun bohong
But
sama
in
Caesar
truth, there
juga
was
gitu.
already a lot more to the
Tapi
story
dia
by
nggak bisa
then.
bilang ke Caesar.
After being taken in by an aristocrat for our magic talent, then betrayed soon after, this was no longer about me doing what I loved. What amazed me was how the lie escaped my lips even as I was hesitating over whether to tell him the truth. Trust is a beautiful thing. Sadly, I'd forgotten how to trust by then.
Kepercayaan itu sesuatu yang indah, tapi sayang banget aku sampai nggak bisa ngatain yang sebenarnya ke si Caesar ya kan. Dia kan cuma bilang ya aku seneng aja, padahal kan ada agenda lain. Dia belajar apa namanya guys,
Still worried
belajar
about the
sulap
way I
gitu loh.
feel? You really are a gentle soul, aren't you? But don't worry,
Makanya kalau udah dapat
I'm used to it now.
kepercayaan, jangan sekali-sekali kalian rusak guys. Oke? Kepercayaan itu emang sesuatu yang ya pedang bermata dua sih. Kalau ke orang yang bisa dipercaya itu akan baik-baik aja, tapi kalau ke orang yang nggak bisa dipercaya kayak Lorenzo sama Gemma tadi ya kacau.
That night, I remembered his smile. But as I lay there, I didn't know what to say to him. To keep secrets is to put up walls. The longer you keep them up, the less you let people in. Then, one day, you look around and realize your life is like an empty auditorium after a show, full of seats once occupied by all the people who left. But I guess that's the price we have to pay. You only realize how much someone really meant to you when you lose them completely. That's why I was so confident this would hurt Gemma. Because I felt it for myself.
Yeah, cheer up, Winnie. We've had to say our fair share of goodbyes during our journey, too. But whatever happens, Paimon always believes in what tomorrow brings. Delicious food, fun toys, and the traveler by my side. Paimon just needs to focus on things like this, and all the unhappy stuff goes right out the window. You know, Traveler, doesn't that kind of make you Paimon's truth?
Exactly. It's the same for me and Lynette. We are the truest thing each other has in the world, and nothing can replace that. Life has taken plenty from us, like it did from Gemma. But at least it left us with each other. That's what gave us the strength to get through the darkest days. That's why the darkness never consumed me, and why it never will. Maybe we live in the shadows too, but we remember every precious ray of light that shines through. All right, time to lighten this conversation up a little. What did you think of the show tonight? Were you happy with it?
It was amazing! Paimon just wishes we hadn't been so distracted
gitu ya
with the
ceritanya.
Gemma
Biasa
situation.
akan
We
terlanjutkan
spent most
lagi.
of our time in the opera house just
Tapi mungkin
packing
gua
and
akan
pretty much missed the entire first half
main game yang lain dulu aja lah ya guys ya. Sembari kita menunggu updatean terbaru. Kita akan main Digimon Card Battle lagi untuk lanjutin area selanjutnya besok.
Surely you can think of something. The Lenny Paimon knows can do anything if he puts his mind to it.
Oh, all right then. I'll give it a go, but only because it's you. Watch closely. I have a flower in my hand.
Ditaruh di kepalanya nanti.
Huh? My goodness, you're right. But I could have sworn I brought one here with me. Okay, try this. Count down with me. 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
Now, have another look around. Maybe the flowers appeared somewhere else.
Taruh sini lagi.
Let's see.
Kalau Gemma taruh kepalanya, Lumine taruh sini terus.
This is a different flower from the last time, right? This one's called
A rainbow rose.
Oh yeah, a rainbow rose. But more importantly, Paimon has to know how the trick is done. Please, Lenny,
Paimon.
Well, if you want to learn magic, you'll have to start by addressing me as teacher.
Fine. Please, teacher, please.
Since you asked so nicely, I'll share one little tip with you. Namely, the student of magic cannot solely rely on others being prepared to reveal their secrets. You have to observe, think, and find the answers for yourself.
Is that it?
Look at the time. We shouldn't linger here too long. Thanks again for coming to see my show. I bid you both good night. I look forward to seeing you again.
All right, fine. See ya. Shall we head back down too?
Nggak diajari.
Paimon can't wait to read the Steambird tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm up next. Linny and Caesar will be plastered all over it. Let's head to the Steambird's offices tomorrow morning and see what we can find out.
Ya Allah, ini masih lanjut, belum kelar. Dan oke, jam 8 ya. Jadi gitu guys ceritanya. Kita ke Steam, and kita tutup video ini. Lumayan ya, sejam lebih. Kalau ini nggak apa-apa guys, masih oke. Kemarin Yoimiya juga sejaman lah ya, tapi gua rasa lebih cepat Yoimiya sih, lebih cepat beberapa menit.
I'm very sorry, Charlotte, but my sister and I are quite busy today. I'm afraid we'll have to decline this interview.
Oh, please, Lenny. I'll only take a moment at a time. If you would be so kind.
Huh? What's happening here?
I spent all night writing my piece about the Phantom Weasel, and it was going to go to print this morning, but just as dawn broke, I suddenly received news that Caesar's fiancée, Gemma, had contacted the guards and confessed to having been the real Phantom Weasel all along.
That was quick.
Wih, Gemma akhirnya mengakui diri sendiri ya.
Too late, bro. That was quick, you say? It sounds like I've got some catching up to do. Please, fill me in. Whoops.
Paimon.
My instincts did not lead me astray. You do have something to hide. Gemma turning herself in must have something to do with Lenny's performance last night.
Maybe watching my high-altitude escape trick reminded her of a better time with Caesar, and she could no longer ignore the voice of her conscience.
Huh. Okay, then. Wait, no, there must be more to it. If that's all it took for her to have a
juga
change of heart,
jurnalis cari duitnya
how
kayak
did it
gitu.
take her 10 whole years?
Well...
Oh, I remember now. You and Gemma were nowhere to be found after the show. What happened between you? Quickfire question. Where did you all go after the show?
Oh, we went to the cemetery and Lenny did a private magic trick just for us. Actually, glad you mentioned it, because that reminds Paimon, guess what? Lenny started using rainbow roses in his tricks.
What?
What?
I don't recall ever having received a rainbow rose from you myself. Is this supposed to mean that they're more important to you than your own sister?
Oh, artinya lebih
No,
penting.
What the...
Rainforest artinya
Oh,
itu.
did Paimon say something wrong again? This is getting pretty
Kalau ini MC-nya Lumine cocok. Kalau
Seems
Aether
like this
jadi
interview
lucu
wasn't
anjir.
meant to be. Well, never mind. There's always next time. Forgive my persistence, but when there's explosive news waiting to be found, I can't
Akhirnya
turn
Charlotte
away.
menyerah.
The news about Gemma has already made waves, and I'll stop at nothing to get to the bottom of it all. Apparently, one of the things she said to the guards was that her final wish is to see Lorenzo one last time. There's clearly a web of complicated relationships there. Can't blame me for being curious.
Atau emang
Alright, I guess I'll
lebih
leave you
suka
to
sama
continue the rest of
Lorenzo
your
aslinya si
conversation in peace.
Gemma.
Bye for now.
Mungkin. Tapi karena pengen kesalahannya diarahkan ke Caesar, makanya dia pura-pura dulu.
Didn't mean to.
Jadi
Don't worry,
tunangannya
I wasn't angry.
siapa?
I was just trying to distract her.
Oh, really?
Tunangannya si
Oh, thank
Caesar.
goodness. You scared Paimon there.
Phew. You and me both, Paimon. You and me both. At least it did the job, right?
Please, take good care of that rainbow rose. I'd be really upset if you lost it.
Oke, dan selesai ya. Dan ternyata Rainbow tuh artinya orang yang penting. Jadi si Linet nggak pernah dikasih Rainbow Rose, kita dikasih Rainbow Rose. Makanya kalau MC-nya Lumine cocok. Coba kalau MC-nya Aether jadi lucu guys. Jadi pelangi dong, jadi KGP ya. Oke, jadi itu saja untuk hari ini, untuk video kali ini. Kita ini ya membersihkan nama Caesar lah ya intinya di story kali ini, sama ya sedikit-sedikit mengetahui background gimana si Line sama Linet belajar sulap. Oke, so besok akan lanjutkan lagi, dan besok seperti yang gue bilang tadi paling gue mau main Digimon Card Battle dulu lah ya. Kita lanjutin progres kita, dan kita lanjutkan di area selanjutnya untuk besok. Oke, sembari kita menunggu event terbaru atau update terbaru dari Genshin. Oke, so sampai jumpa besok lagi guys, and have a good day. Bye bye.